This is Coach Chris Holtman. You're listening to Drive the Lane podcast.
All right. Drive the Lane podcast. It is Super Bowl week. We are in the heat of the college and NBA basketball season. We talked to Tyvis Powell. Our best friend is back on the show. We talked to ESPN's Adam Amin. He talks to us a little bit about every sport ever. We talk about how the Buckeyes did this week. Joey and I were both in attendance for the Northwestern win, DJ Carton's big-time game. And Joey addresses a little bit about Kobe Bryant because, you know, we have to get into that. Before we get into this episode, of course, High Street Tees is awesome. And the most awesome part about them might just be their new Drive the Lane shirts. That's right, we have shirts from High Street Tees. You need to go get them. HighStreetTees.com/DTL is where you can do all your shopping. And if you want to save some money, use our promo code DTL15 for 15% off your entire order. That's DTL15 for 15% off. Drive the Lane shirts, 3 shirts, Mama's Passion Brew, Buckeye Donuts, you name it, they got it. Of course, we want you to buy our shirts, but we really just want you to go to the site and use our promo code. Buckle up and drive the lane.
Oh, yeah. Watching me counting the numbers, keeping the counting you under. Hey, sleeping on me is a slumber. Hey, keeping the score and run up.
Okay, welcome back to the Drive Lane podcast. We're happy you guys are tuned in and listening, and we're very happy that Ohio State has kind of gotten off the schneid a little bit and won today at Northwestern. Like Andrew said, we were both there. But before we get into that, and before we get into our interviews, obviously it's been a pretty wild day. We're recording this on Sunday night. We didn't want to record on Sunday night, but we had made the plan to do that because we were going to do it after the Northwestern game. And sure enough, as everyone listening knows, Kobe Bryant passed away, and his daughter and 7 others on a helicopter on the way to their practice. And obviously we're not news reporters, we're not analysts or anything like that. And so what we got for you guys is just just a little bit of raw emotion about Kobe, because I'll be the first to tell you I'm not, and I can't speak for Andrew obviously on this topic, but I'm not a diehard Kobe fan by any stretch of the word. I mean, growing up in Chicago and a Bulls fan, like you're MJ, Michael Jordan, through and through, without a doubt. Obviously, we grew up in an age where Kobe was kind of getting older, and yeah, we saw some great moments, but obviously, LeBron has been the best player of our generation. But what Kobe's done for the game of basketball and seeing him become such an unbelievable father, obviously, I'm sure he was before, but when fatherhood became his primary obligation, I mean, the dude was just awesome, and it was really cool. Today, seeing all the videos, yeah, we saw some highlights, but you tell me if I'm wrong, Andrew. I think most of the stuff was about him and Gigi, his daughter, and about how close they had gotten and how she was turning into such a incredible young woman, young basketball player, and my heart just breaks for obviously all the families involved, but especially the Bryant's family and his wife and his 3 other daughters. I mean, it's just so sad. It was great that Ohio State won today, but man, it just puts everything in perspective. Can't take anything for granted. I mean, the dude was a rock star and seemed like he was immortal. And obviously to see him go so young and way too soon is just, it's just so sad. I hate, this is a fun, upbeat, joking podcast all the time, but we got to be serious for a second, because I mean, the sport of basketball is what I've dedicated my life to. And without Kobe Bryant, I mean, the sport of basketball is just so ridiculously different. And it's weird because this is the first time I feel like I'm speaking out loud, and maybe I'm not typing on Twitter or texting my friends about this, and I'm getting the words out, and it's just so weird to say that he's gone.
So weird.
It's just
doesn't make any sense.
No, it's
crazy.
It's just weird how life tests you, and obviously, you wouldn't wish this upon your worst enemy by any stretch of it, but it's the basketball world rallying around this cause is what makes it the best sport. With the Tyvis family, I mean, you see guys like Tyson Chandler. There's a video of him crying on the bench. I mean, there was no reason for these guys to be playing. I mean, it's just like, just like you would take a sick day of work if a loved one passed away. Why? I don't know why they're playing those games today, but you see Trae Young, who Gigi, Kobe's daughter, had come out and said that Trae Young was her favorite player, so Kobe started paying more attention to Trae and stuff. I mean, just seeing him wearing number 8 today, and I don't even know, is that his number? I don't know, but
No, he's number 11.
yeah. So seeing him wear 8 today, and the tears, it's all so real. You can tell like the difference of when famous people pass away all the time. But have you ever seen Twitter stop before? Like,
No.
I mean, just the world
It was
felt
broken.
like the world seemed like it just came to a halt. It's just every person had been touched by Kobe on and off the court, and this is all coming from a guy that I was never I love Kobe because he is the definition of hard work and preparation and being the best at your craft. But I mean, like I said before, and I'm sure Andrew, you're kind of the same way. I mean, like, we are Michael Jordan guys.
Well, I'm a LeBron guy.
Yeah, I mean, you're a LeBron guy, but I mean, Kobe it's just, I don't know, it's just, he was, regardless, just larger than life. It's just so, I mean, that's the theme that I keep going back to. It just seems like it just can't be possible.
It definitely doesn't seem possible, and you summed it up really well. I don't really have a whole lot to say that you didn't already cover. Obviously, we are thinking about everyone involved, families, friends, everything. It's terribly sad, but we've seen some incredible tributes, like you were mentioning. Trae Young, Overtime posted something. D-Wade's been posting a lot. All teammates, friends, colleagues. It's crazy. It's unlike anything that has ever circulated through social media.
Yeah.
In my opinion, definitely. And I think
you're so right. I can't think of another. I mean, there's only one Kobe Bryant. That's the truth of the matter. I can't think about when Michael Jackson passed away. Obviously, superstar, young.
Wasn't even the social media era as much though.
Yeah, right. Yeah, no, exactly. I mean, it's just insane.
And obviously, you and I speaking on it doesn't do nearly the justice as 99%.
I mean, I've never
of the
met
other
the guy,
people.
never had an interaction.
You don't
with
have
him.
any.
I mean, that's the coolest. I mean, cool is not the right word, but the most amazing thing is that 99% of the people that are so sad and so upset and that are hurting so much have never had a personal interaction with him. But just shows you the kind of, impact he made on people's lives. He wasn't perfect, obviously, which I hate when people bring that stuff up when people pass away. But the dude is just the blueprint for so many people our age. My teammates in high school, in college, Dwayne Washington is Derek Fisher, who was Kobe Bryant's longtime teammate. That's his nephew. So, Dwayne, I saw him today at the game. The dude is just not himself. He considered Kobe an uncle. So, just seeing the people that were close to him hurting so much, and then seeing the people that had never met the guy, had never been his teammate. It's just, the players in the NBA, it's just I don't know, just some unspoken bonds that people have. Kobe Bryant means so much to so many people, not just in LA. Everywhere. The dude is just unbelievable. It's crazy. It's just we grew up, you crumble up a piece of paper and throw it in the trash can at school, and everyone yells Kobe. It's just you're not saying LeBron, you're not saying MJ, you're not. There's plenty of other incredible basketball players, but everyone says Kobe. It's just it's just crazy because this is the first larger-than-life human that has passed away since we've become, young adults and can really rationalize what is happening. It's just all so insane. You just don't. It was the first time that I had ever saw, I ever saw a tweet, saw a notification, and was like, that can't be true.
Mm-hmm.
It's just
the last thing
insane.
that I will say about this, the NBA has been talking about changing the logo for a while now. I think this is the perfect opportunity / candidate.
A great call.
And I think any other way that they were to honor Kobe would not be enough.
Yeah.
And I know that's
the dude
crazy to say.
transcended the sport.
I know that's crazy to say, changing the logo is the only thing that would be enough, but I just think anything else would be
I'm just trying to
short.
I'm trying to think of what else they could do. Like obviously the All-Star game's coming up.
All-Star game, they're going to do stuff.
I saw someone say
Mavs.
one team should wear
8 and one team should wear 24.
That'd be pretty
the
darn
Mavs, Mark Cuban said they're going to retire his number. I'm sure a lot of teams will follow that. But
we're watching the Grammys right now, and Lil Nas is performing with a Kobe Bryant jersey in the background. And it's just the dude. I mean, just goes to show you the dude won an Oscar. The dude is one of the best basketball players to ever play, and I mean, he's just amazing. He obviously gone too soon. It's so unbelievably sad. My heart hurts for all the families involved. It's just I've never felt how I felt today, and I just can't stress enough that I am not by far not the biggest Kobe fan on the planet. And
agreed.
My stomach and my heart, and it's just like it just couldn't be real. It's like this doesn't even happen in movies.
Crazy.
It's just insane. So
I think
you got anything else?
No, I think we handled that how we should have.
Yeah, I mean, I'm interested to hear what you guys have to say. I mean, everyone's talking about Kobe. We're no exception. Obviously, being a sports podcast. But if you guys, whatever you guys' memories, anything that you guys have, let us know. I think it's obviously cool. Again, is not the right word, but it's important to celebrate him and how awesome he was. So it'd be awesome to hear what you guys have to say and hear any fun stories or memories that you share with Kobe.
Definitely. I think we should briefly talk about Ohio State basketball, and then we can kind of introduce our interviews.
Let's just shift all the way to I was so happy for the Ohio State basketball team tonight. It was so weird. The atmosphere. They didn't do a moment of silence for Kobe, which was bizarre.
Yeah, I thought it was weird, but I was thinking about it. I was finding it hard to find a connection outside of it just being basketball for Northwestern.
I mean,
shouldn't
that be enough?
I agree. It should. I mean, definitely wouldn't have been a negative to do it, but I was trying to find something that could really connect, like with NBA, even if it's like a random game,
no, totally.
like
I mean, he is the NBA.
Wizards, Pelicans, like it's still NBA,
right?
And
totally.
he didn't play in college. Obviously he's had a huge impact on a lot of the players.
Apparently,
that were in
him
the
and
games.
Chris Collins are super tight and stuff. So so it is kind of weird. Obviously, hindsight's 20/20. Maybe it was too late to do something. I don't know. But
Ohio college doesn't have the leeway
it's
as much as the NBA does to kind of do what they please.
Yeah. It was just a weird vibe though in the arena. I think you would agree. The Ohio State, like all the guys were. I mean, Dwayne was just. I mean, that just stinks. Mm-hmm. I just feel so bad for him. But not only that. Obviously, the Kobe nose broke for them while they were watching film, and the coaches passed around a phone. And then when it was over, they kind of told the guys, which was just crazy. But also the night before, the fire alarm went off in the hotel, and everyone had to evacuate at 4:30 in the morning. Which is not a Northwestern thing for them to do. But apparently there was smoke and stuff going on. So,
jeez, that's crazy. Usually that leads to like a lethargic start.
Which they did.
I guess they did have a lethargic start.
Yeah.
DJ Carton played very well tonight.
Yeah, a lot of guys stepped up. It was
slip free.
Yeah, he didn't slip, which was amazing. I sat next to his family. They're the best.
Were they slip in, walk into their seats?
No, they weren't. But yeah, DJ played awesome. He stepped up. He was great. Played great defense too.
I think it's interesting that Northwestern, record-wise, is as bad as they are.
Can we talk about Pat Spencer on Northwestern? For those who aren't familiar, the dude was the Heisman winner for lacrosse last year, and then decided, you know what, I'm going to start playing basketball. And Chris Collins gave him a scholarship, and he came to Northwestern. Now he's the best player on Northwestern. And what I was telling Andre Wesson after the game, we were joking about it because he hadn't put it together that was the lacrosse guy and how good he was and stuff. And when I was talking to Dre about it, I was like, it was me, Dre, Kyle, and Danny Hummer, and we were talking about it, and I said, guys, the fact that I devoted my life to basketball, and I'm not as good as the guy that devoted his life to lacrosse, that hurts. But that kid's amazing. He had a really good game. He was talking shit the whole game.
So was that number 0 guy, Bowie Bowie.
No, Boo Booey. He's
Boo
awesome.
Bowie was talking a lot of shit.
They have a nice little core. Miller Kopp will come back next year. Boo
Is
Booey's
Kopp a
pretty darn
freshman?
good. No, he's a junior. He's around.
Good.
He is good. He's got a
Stroke. Great shot.
Yeah, it's just every time you shoot it, every time he shoots it, you think it's in. It's awesome. But yeah, if Pat Spencer only had another year, the dude looks like he's a 42-year-old accountant, but he can hoop.
Is it? You think it's? And maybe I'm completely wrong about this. Is it frustrating that Arns will have a game like this and then kind of be a non-factor for a long stretch of games? Because you got to think, if there's a game that they lost by a couple points, if he knocks in a couple threes, obviously you can't look at it like just adding 6 points to the end of the game, but a guy like that who can give you a little more spark off the bench. Like, there's games he doesn't even play, and there's games he plays and doesn't make a shot, and there's games like tonight where he doesn't miss, basically.
I think where I stand on Justin is, first of all, he's not 100%, hasn't been healthy, didn't have a full offseason. Like, that shit carries on into the season. Secondly, if you're going to play for Holtman, you got to play defense, and sometimes Justin isn't cutting it on defense, so he can't play. Mm-hmm. And this is matching up wise is a perfect game for him because he can guard someone on the other team, and he's able to do whatever he can. And they play, and Northwestern's playing some zone, so it's a great game for him. But he is such a good basketball player, and he picks his spots. And it's not. I mean, he's a shooter. Like, you can be streaky as a shooter. Like, that's what his role has developed into. He is a shooter. So, shooters have off nights, and it's hard for him to get into a rhythm. You can't expect him to score 12 points if he's only playing in 2-minute increments. He got to have some run and sweat and show that he had confidence in himself, and his teammates were giving him the ball. And he's so good. If he shoots 6 times, he's making 2 or 3 every time. Mm-hmm. So I'm really happy for him. I actually should read a text from him after the game. He texted me, and I'm putting him on blast because this is too fun. He said, Joe, I'm sorry I didn't get a chance to come out and say what's up after the game. I was constipated.
Should we call him?
Should we call him?
Is that allowed?
No, let's not call him. It would be kind of fun to call him. But no, he said, sorry, I was constipated after the game, so I couldn't make it out. But thank you for coming, and I appreciate you. Let's keep it rolling. I said, love you, buddy. That's so unbelievably funny.
Should we call him and see how his tummy's feeling?
No.
You want to call him. I see the look in your face. You want to call him.
We don't need to call him. But he was awesome. I'm really happy for him. I said this a million times. Last year when he had that great game against Iowa, I said to the media that he not only is he a very hardworking guy. Which you're now a part
of, by the way.
Yeah, I guess. He's a super hardworking guy, but he is a fantastic teammate and cares so much more about the team's success than his own success. So when you get a guy that works his butt off and cares so much about the team, it falls into place that way. So happy about the Iowa game last year, and not to mention he had 29 points. I threw him a perfect pass, hit him in the chest, and he dropped it out of bounds and gave me a turnover, which that shit was so brutal. But yeah, super happy for him. He was instrumental in us winning. I talked to some of the coaches after the game, and they asked me what I thought, and I think that, and I texted Dockich this, I think that the one thing that makes us so dangerous is when we play quick and assertive and with some purpose, as opposed to playing fast and out of control. I just think that if we have some assertiveness behind our move, and maybe we're not taking the first shot, but we take the first good. You got to take it. If it's a good shot, take it. And being assertive, whether that's Caleb Wesson making a quick move to score, which he did a couple times tonight, or Justin Arns pulling the trigger on some threes. Just play quick and assertive. We played great on offense and great on defense. It was just, thank God we won so that I could see everybody happy after the game instead of seeing them mad, because sometimes you forget that winning is a lot more fun than losing.
So Ohio State, Joe, is 13-7. Okay. Mm-hmm. The next 6 games, Indiana at home, who they've lost to. At Michigan.
Indiana on the road is not the same team as Indiana at home.
At Michigan, who feels like they haven't won since that tournament.
Both teams will be due at that point.
Wisconsin, who beat them at
I
home.
don't give a fuck about Wisconsin.
Rutgers,
At
who's
home.
playing the best basketball they've played ever.
But Rutgers on the road is not the same as Rutgers at home,
Right.
but they're still awesome.
And then Purdue at home, and Purdue's been the most up and down confusing team ever.
Here's what I'll say about Ohio State going forward. We're fine for making the tournament. Like, we have some great wins. We obviously, you got to take care of business at home in the Big Ten right now. I think that we will be able to compete with every team moving forward. I think we kind of got our swagger back a little bit. I'll say that there are some teams like that are just, they might be winning, but they're so beatable. And Illinois is not in that group. Illinois is good.
Illinois is
I was
good.
wrong,
We were wrong.
which is fine. I got some of my friends, Illini fans, texting me, giving me shit about how I called them frauds and stuff. But they
Well,
were fraudulent.
How many
Not
wins
anymore.
do you think this team needs to make the tournament?
They just need 20.
Yeah, I think they got to win 7 of their last 11.
Jeez, is that what it is?
Yeah.
You got to win every other game, basically. It's possible.
They
Win.
have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Can I see their schedule?
11. Yeah,
All
I
right,
mean,
you guys ready for
there's a lot
live?
of-
Here's what
there's
they're
a-
doing.
There's a lot of losses on there, I think.
What?
Sorry.
They're going to home against Indiana, win. At Michigan, win. At Wisconsin, win. Home against Rutgers, win. Home against Purdue, win. So that's a 6-game winning streak. At Iowa.
I would
Win.
put money on.
At
I know we don't
home
bet,
against
but I'll
Maryland,
put
win.
money on that they don't go on a 6-game win streak right now.
At Nebraska, win. Home against Michigan, win. Home against Illinois, win. At Michigan State on senior night, that's probably a loss. So they've won.
So you think
10 out of 11. They're winning 10 out
There
of
is
11.
no way if they finish the season 23-8, I'll give you $100.
Only 100.
Yeah.
You should give me more than that.
Well, but you don't have to give me anything.
200. You got a deal.
All right, then I get 10.
No chance.
All right, then I'm not doing it. I'm not doing a 0.
Hey man, it's fine. Just a gentleman's bet. Speaking of betting, good thing I don't bet, or else I would have picked the wrong golfers to win the tournament this week.
I just got put on blast by my girlfriend because I liked a tweet about Ariana Grande.
Oh. You should get a hall pass. It's not even like a hall pass. It's just a one-person pass.
Let's explain why we have the guest.
Like when I get married, Allie Raisman will be my one-person pass.
Well, but you won't even need that because you're going to marry Allie Raisman.
God, would that be nice?
If we got her on the podcast, you could have a chance.
Is she... Do we want her on the podcast?
What do you
That's
think
not
would
how I
come
wanna meet
first?
her.
What do you think would come first?
Me having social
What do you think
interaction
there's a
with her?
better chance? What do you think there's a better chance of? Her coming on the podcast and then you marrying her, or you marrying her and then she comes on the podcast?
The first.
The first.
Yeah, because unless I'm getting married in 2 years, who knows where this podcast will be.
Speaking of guests, we have our best friend, my best friend actually, not Joey's. Joey's best friend is Dockich. My
Is
best
Tyvis first in this or second?
Haven't decided. But
We got
have
Adam Amin first.
we have Adam Amin first, or maybe Tyvis.
So Adam Amin we are going to have on again. He was awesome.
Yeah, he does everything.
He
ESPN,
knows
college
everything.
football, NBA, NCAA B, NCAA W.
He did say that Luther Muhammad and Dwayne were suspended, which they weren't. They were for a game.
That's
but
not
they
what
had
he
been
said. He
reinstated.
said the change of personnel has been interesting.
Yeah, I guess he just, I don't know, he mediated the shit out of that. He was like, you know what, I'm not going to say it. I'm just
But
gonna
we had a lot of fun with him. We covered everything with him because the college basketball season will end and there will be a lot of NBA left. So we want to show you guys that we love the NBA. I think we proved that with Kada, Duncan, John Diebler, who technically his rights are owned by the Bulls, Brunson, and now Adam Amin. So that's a lot of NBA stuff. And then Tyvis Powell played on this 49ers team. It's not this
and
year.
the 49ers are in San Francisco, and the Warriors are also in the Bay Area, so it shows you how much we love the NBA.
And D'Angelo Russell's on the – yeah, so exactly. But Tyvis tells stories about Richard Sherman, tells stories about Ohio State, and he talks about how I'm his best friend. He talks about how I'm his best friend.
We just joked around the entire time. Zolden, I love Tyvis, but Zolden, every time we record, goes, should we just call Tyvis and get 20 minutes with him on the phone? And all we do is we're professionals. For the other interviews, we have notes. For the first time we interviewed Tyvis, we had notes. But for this one, we were just like,
let's just call Tyvis.
Let's just see where this goes.
I texted him the other day, and I said, hey, man, got a question. This was when my Twitter got – by the way, my Twitter was hacked – or not hacked. My Twitter was shut down because I was not old enough to make a Twitter when I made it 12 years ago. So I made a new one. I eventually got mine back. I made a new one, and I texted Tyvis. I said, I got a favor to ask, man. And he goes, does it have to do with your Twitter? He's like, I'm not tweeting, but I see everything. I'm like, any chance like I get like a follow my best friend, Andrew Zolden? He's like, nah, man, I'm not tweeting right now. I'm like, all right, makes sense.
Yeah,
All
no
good.
shit.
I'll get my account back soon anyway. And sure enough, it is back.
Like it never left.
Before we get to our double dose of interviews,
I'm so hungry. Where should I get food tonight?
Portillo's. Before we
I've
get
had Portillo's 2 times this weekend already.
Portillo's.
All right.
Before we get to our double dose of interviews,
Portillo's.
Threes Above High, which is
What if they had a
now the
Portillo's
favorite
night?
bar of David Dobrik. Did he make an appearance? Do we know?
I don't know.
I don't know if he ended up going.
Before we get into this Threes Above High, Zolden tweeted something about after Ohio State lost their 6th out of 7 games, tweeted something about Threes Above Highs, buy David Dobrik a drink, and I deleted it from my phone and texted him and said, we don't need to tweet right now.
No. That is not an accurate statement
It's
of
not
what I
inaccurate.
tweeted.
It's not
I
inaccurate.
tweeted and said,
Oh, shucks.
that
Ohio
one's tough. Get over it at Threes Above High, because that's the best place to go and buy some booze if you're over the age of 21 to
And
deal with issues.
And I deleted it, and you texted me and said, did you delete the tweet? I said, yeah, we don't need to tweet right
Well, I
now.
wasn't sure if it was reported or deleted. And then you said, actually, do whatever you want.
Well, no, then you said to me, you said, I don't
I
know.
thought it was
don't think-
fine.
I don't, yeah, you said, like, I think it's fine. I said, you can do what you want. I just don't, I don't know.
The fans want to hear from us when they lose.
I just don't. You got to start. Maybe you got to start tweeting it with a -AZ. At the end
They know. Like you said, there's a clear difference.
Zolden tweets 85% of the things.
Way more.
Yeah, 92.
99.
And it's just funny because I just remember after games, like when you lose games and you're on a losing streak, like it's not a good look to tweet out and joke around and. You know, because Twitter is a lot of it is fun and joking around and stuff, and like our tweet was kind of joking around, like. But I'm just still in the habit of when we lose, like,
Yeah.
there's no like, I don't know, there's no good thing to tweet, so don't tweet at all. My coaches used to, I don't know if I've told this story or not on this podcast, but stop me if you've heard this one, guys at home. When we beat Purdue, they were 3rd in the country, we were like 12th. Huge win for us. We took the lead in the Big Ten and yada, yada, yada. The people were booing us when we got off the bus to go in the stadium. When we got back on the bus, they were booing us. It was just so awesome. We got on the bus, and I tweeted, oh, well, Purdue for a loss. Because they were undefeated in the Big Ten before that. And it went insane. I mean, thousands and thousands of retweets and favorites.
Did you delete it?
No, but I don't know. Look it up. I might have deleted it because one of the coaches, I won't say who, tweeted me and said, or texted me and said, that was funny, but don't ever do that again.
I don't see it. Maybe I'll search your name with it.
It was probably Joey Smoke 11 at that point. Yeah, it's live looking at, it was PUR and then capital DUE for our loss.
Well, I'll just search that. Purdue for a loss. I'm retweeting it.
3-2 when we beat Purdue in a couple weeks.
Yeah. I'm definitely liking it, though.
Isn't that funny? Like, that's creative.
Yeah. All right. We're not going to keep you anymore, but you should
you just liked one of my tweets.
You definitely should go to Threes Above High to watch everything.
I'm going to be in Columbus this weekend. You guys tweet me to come to Threes Above High. I might just show up.
You have to go. You have to go in your shirt and be like, what's up? I'm not as cool as David Dobrik, but I'm here.
I'll pass out iPads like he does.
Yeah. Perfect. All right. Tyvis. Adam Amin.
Adam Amin first, Tyvis second.
Maybe. I'll surprise you. All right. Buckle
It
up.
should be Adam Amin first.
Buckle up. Tyvis is my best friend. Drive the lane. All right, so we now welcome on to the Drive the Lane podcast, Adam Amin, who works for ESPN. Adam, thanks for coming on. How we doing, man?
I'm doing great, boys. How are you guys doing?
Oh, just living the podcasting dream, of course.
This is your nightmare, actually. This is you've gone deep down to the bottom of the barrel for a guest. So here I am.
No, definitely not. But, it would be a disservice to just say that you're helping out with the Bulls or doing some games on ESPN, doing Thursday Night Football. I think you definitely should kind of tell the listeners everything that you're doing because I honestly don't even know all of it.
It's cool. It's cool, man. I got done with the national championship game for college football last week, and finished up a great college football season. Like you said, had a great year working on Thursday nights. Finished up NFL on ESPN radio at the end of the regular season. So now, like the rest of us, I'm just a fan watching from the couch and enjoying the playoffs. And now we're right in the heart of basketball season. So filling in on a handful of Bulls games, working NBA for ESPN and ESPN radio, and working men's college basketball and a lot of the women's games leading up to the women's Final Four. So we're right in the thick of it, man.
Yeah, I mean, that's great because we are a college football, NFL, NBA, college basketball podcast. So that's perfect.
Yeah, you fit right in here.
Awesome.
So, before it gets to be, February and really far from the college football season, what are your kind of takeaways from this season and Joe Burrow being the best quarterback of all time, stuff like that?
Yeah, I mean, listen, he put together arguably the best season ever, right? Most passing touchdowns, one of the best completion percentages of all time. Obviously, he had the weapons to do it, the offensive line as well. But, I mean, this was one of the great individual seasons for any position player, for any position in college football history. And certainly I would say it's probably the greatest quarterback season of all time. Now, it's a little bit hard sometimes to compare those things because, what was the era in the 80s like compared to the era in the 90s compared to now when there's such a prevalency of spread offenses and, a ton of passing. And I understand all that. But to put together the type of season he put together and cap it off the way he did with a dominant performance against the number one defense in the country, I think it's the greatest individual quarterbacking season ever and certainly one of maybe the top 5 greatest individual seasons in college football of all time.
So in your opinion, it's safe to say that he's a top 5 OSU football player of the decade, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. A significant Buckeye legacy left right there. And that was the other thing too. People were talking about like, oh man, how did they miss on this? And it's like, well, remember who was playing quarterback too? It was like they had Dwayne Haskins. Like this wasn't like that guy threw 50 touchdown passes too. Like it's not some run of the mill quarterback. This is a really good quarterback. It's hard to make this. You can't play both guys and have them put together seasons like this. I think it takes, maybe a change of scenery. It was the right spot for Burrow. He had the right coaching staff. He had Joe Brady to kind of help him unleash some of what was maybe already there. And he had the system to do it, and he had the personnel around him to do it too. So I hate kind of like, I would hate for Buckeye fans to sit here and be like, well, we missed out on this. It's like, not really. You guys made the playoff. You guys had a great QB at the helm this year. When you have Dwayne Haskins, you can't really complain about the season that you put together when he has the type of career he had, towards the top of most of the Buckeye charts. So I think he's got a lot of pride in Ohio. Obviously, I think it'd be a great story if he ended up in Cincinnati, assuming that, if they don't give away the number 1 pick, he's going to be the Bengals quarterback next year.
Yeah, I don't know how much research you did for this appearance, but we actually kind of have a Ohio State focus. Joey actually played basketball at Ohio State. But we put together our individual lists of the top 5 Buckeyes of the decade. It was like basketball, football combined. And Joey put Joe Burrow on there and just got absolutely ripped.
I'm still getting direct messages from people saying, I'm going to find you and hurt you for the list that you've come up with. When they don't understand that if I'm putting Andrew Dockich and Joe Burrow on the list, it's not a super serious list.
Hey, listen, Doc. Dockich is one of my friends, and
right.
And Andrew, I'm happy to put Andrew on any of the best human beings in college athletics lists that exist out there, man. I'd be curious. Like, I'm thinking if you're looking at football, basketball, I'm thinking Haskins has to be on there. I would think D'Angelo Russell might be on there. If you're going outside of that, I would put Kyle Snyder on there, one of the great wrestlers in NCAA history. I don't know who else you tossed on that list.
Well, people were very frustrated that we didn't have Kyle Snyder on there, but like we kind of said, we were kind of trying to stick to basketball and football.
Yeah, absolutely.
But and trying to get people to respond.
Yeah, and but the world didn't understand what we were doing, and we also had guys that we had on the podcast before. On there too because we're biased. So we had guys like Tyvis Powell, who probably isn't making anyone else's list, but he made ours. So we had Jared Sullinger and D'Angelo Russell, like you said, and
Ezekiel Elliott, and I
Ezekiel
put Thad
Elliott.
Matta on my list.
We had Thad Matta on there. Yeah, so it was the perfect mix of we got some credibility and then also lost a lot of credibility. It was a perfect mix of that. And then you couple that with Andrew predicting Oklahoma to play Ohio State in the national championship game, and we had a heck of a showing that week. Yeah,
swing and a miss.
Exactly.
So, Adam, what were your thoughts on Ohio State this year? And I guess kind of moving forward, but we're still, I guess, in last season.
We're still in grieving.
Bit. Yeah.
Yeah, we're still in a mourning period. That's totally fine. I mean, listen, this is what you hope for, right? First full season for Ryan Day, making the transition. Didn't know what to expect with a transfer quarterback in at the helm. But I mean, this is what I was hoping for. I wanted to see Chase Young play as well as he did. I wanted to see him raise his draft stock, and obviously he'll be the first defensive player taken off the board in the draft. So this is as good of a season as you could have hoped for, kind of considering you ran into one of the best college football teams of the decade. No, like this is again, that's a winnable game in the semifinals. I don't know what happens in an LSU Ohio State championship game. I certainly would have loved to see it, but I mean, this is as good. This is as good of a season as you could have predicted, right? I mean, other than winning a national title, this is a great year. This is a fantastic year, especially with so many new pieces in there. I think Chris Olave, proved himself to be a legit downfield threat, one of the better ones in the country. J.K. Dobbins raised his draft stock in a big way. I think this is an excellent year, and the foundation's at least built. And here's what I was worried about: is the expectation going to change at Ohio State? And it hasn't. With a new head coach, you never know what that first year is going to be like. And if Ryan Day goes 9-3 and they lose they go 9-4 with a loss in a random bowl game they don't care about, like, doesn't the expectation change a little bit? So I think this is as good of a year as you could hope for if you're Ryan Day. The expectation now does not change, which also means when the expectations are set nationally, that means the level of recruit that you can bring in doesn't change. That means they're still going to get a top 5 recruiting class. It's still going to be a significant level of 5-star guys coming in. There's still going to be an opportunity, whenever Justin Fields is done, to have a significant recruit at quarterback to take his place, or in kind of the modern era that we're kind of looking at in college football. Like, I don't know why you would actually wouldn't go out of your way to get grad transfer QBs, guys who are already seasoned, guys who have had starts under their belt, when somebody else has already kind of done the development for you. So I think you can do both of those things in the modern era of college football, and I think Ohio State should have those expectations intact going forward. They should be a top 5 preseason, top 5 team in the preseason going into next season.
Yeah, one of the things that Ohio State kind of has going for them, and I went to the University of Missouri, and Kelly Bryant came in this year, and obviously
right.
So Ohio State, if you put Kelly Bryant at Ohio State, he does similar things as he does at Clemson. But Kelly Bryant at a school like Mizzou didn't look like Kelly Bryant at Clemson. So Ohio State and LSU, Bama, those schools actually have even beyond recruiting, have that benefit of, if they lose the quarterback, grad transfers are going to succeed. So definitely what you were talking about. What's your early 2020, I guess it'll technically be 2021, college football playoff Final Four?
Yeah, obviously with the caveat that it's way too early. I mean, Clemson, it's going to, Trevor Lawrence is back. Travis Etienne's coming back. They still have the receiving core. Scary. So number one, undoubtedly to me, is Clemson. Again, they have an interesting schedule next year, but it shouldn't be anything that they have a significant level of trouble with. So I'll go Clemson. I'll be curious what Georgia looks like with Jamie Newman coming in at quarterback. I did a couple of Jamie's games, including their bowl game. A lot of reps under his belt, and I feel like he could be a really good fit for Georgia coming right away. Obviously, they're going to lose DeAndre Swift. They're going to lose some punch in the running game, but they've got really good receivers and a good offensive line. So I'm going to put Georgia in there right now, maybe like a number 4 position, certainly battling for it. I think Alabama is the favorite in the SEC again. I was impressed with Mac Jones. I think, the fact that they at least have a little bit of the receiving core coming back. As far as I know, Najee Harris hadn't declared for the NFL draft. I'm not sure if that's changed in the last week or so, but I still feel like Alabama should be better than they were last year defensively, because they had so many injuries and they played really well against a again, I don't think Michigan's offense was anything to write home about, but it was good offense, and they played really well against it. Shut them out in the second half of that bowl game. So I feel like Alabama should be in the mix. And I'm thinking about a path. I was hoping to maybe look at Oregon, but I don't know what they're going to look like as Justin Herbert goes away. I don't know what to expect from Michigan. Texas will have a lot of talent coming back, but they've been so unreliable, and they've got a difficult non-conference schedule next year. I think Clemson, Ohio State, Georgia, Alabama are probably the four teams. I was going to go. Like I said, I think Ohio State's easily a top 5 team. So I was trying to see if there was anybody else I could really think of that tops what they bring in. And frankly, I think those are the teams. I think Clemson, Ohio State, Georgia, Alabama should be the 4 teams that I would think are going to be sexy picks. At least in the initial run early next year.
Yeah, we definitely agree. What's your buddy Pat McAfee thinking?
Man, I got to talk to McAfee. I got to figure out what he's thinking. He's traveling too much, man. That guy's a rock star. We had such a great year. I'm so proud of him. He had such a fantastic run this season, and kind of acclimating himself into a world that he hadn't really been familiar with for a while. And I love that guy, man. What a pleasure to get to work with him and become friends with him, and a lot of fun nights and a lot of fun broadcasts with Pat, man. He's going to be busy. I know he likes Ohio State a lot. I know he likes Clemson a lot. I'm not sure what he's thinking beyond that, but man, what a blast it was working with him this year.
You got a Pat McAfee story that's not out there yet from you and him that you're allowed to tell?
I think there are a few that I'm not allowed to tell, and I'm perfectly happy with keeping those to myself. But no, like honestly, it's just the overall vibe of just hanging with him. He's such a magnetic personality. He's got he's gravitational. People just love him, and I can see why. He's one of the friendliest people you'd ever meet. He cares. He works his butt off. That's the other thing. I don't think a lot of people see that part, and maybe they do. If they follow him on social media or whatever, I'm sure at least they see a little bit of it. But I don't think really people realize how hard the guy works and how much focus he has to have, and how much energy he has to have to pull off everything he was able to pull off. So I think just in general, the overall vibe of just being with him this year was unlike anything I'd ever experienced in 9 years of working at ESPN.
I think my favorite part about McAfee is, he's all about for the brand. Obviously, anyone who breathes and follows him knows that. And being a walk-on at Ohio State, a walk-on is definitely the equivalent to a specialist on a football team.
Yeah. Yep.
So the fact that he has given a major voice to the people that don't get as much love on the team is big time, and I think that's a little too serious for me to ever say to him. But he has given a platform to the non-superstars, which is something that's really, really cool, and probably something he didn't intend to do.
I think he did intend to do it. Actually, I'll say it that way. I honestly think he understood that there are voices out there that don't get enough attention and have plenty to offer. Like, I think he recognized that there's a little bit of a lack of that. We always hear from the quarterbacks, and by the way, I have no issue with that. I want to hear from those guys, obviously. I want to hear from, and that's why I think our booth was so much fun this year with Matt, Hasselbeck and Pat, guys who played together, who are teammates, who have a genuine love and affection for one another, and come from 2 completely different perspectives. And I give Matt so much credit because Matt is one of the greatest teammates you'd ever find, and anybody who played with him in the NFL would say so, and anybody who works with him at ESPN now would say the same thing. He's a great teammate, and he and I both wanted Pat to just be himself and give a voice to who he thought he wanted to give a voice to, and his voice matches what you just talked about, Joey. It's the guy who doesn't necessarily get the most opportunity, but if anything defines Pat, it's the fact that he makes the most of any space he's given. And that was whether it was football, whether it's radio, his podcast, his show now, the time he gets on TV, the games he does with us, it was valuable. And I agree with you 100%. I think he did that purposefully. I think, I don't know if he expected it to kind of blow up the way it did, and I'm so happy that it did, but I don't know if he expected that, but he was certainly aware that he wanted to give a different perspective, and a perspective that maybe doesn't get as much shine and I'm glad he did it.
Yeah, so obviously you worked with Pat and Matt. You know, you were with Stacey King with the Bulls when you're on the NBC Chicago, and you have your ESPN colleagues that you work with. Is there a sport or maybe a partner that when you see that assignment, you're like, hell yes, I'm psyched to do this?
I mean, I'm lucky to work with a lot of great people, but I'm going to Toronto on Wednesday, and it's me and Doris Burke on Raptors Sixers this week. And Doris is one of my close friends and somebody who I look, I lean on a lot. You know, she has such great respect earned from everybody in the NBA, the players, the coaches. I get that there's some semblance of novelty because she is the first full-time national NBA analyst that was a female, but I think it doesn't really matter anymore. I think it's the fact that she's so well respected and so well thought of around the league, and she's so smart and she knows the league inside and out. I saw her the other day. I was doing the Sixers Bulls game, and it was the one national TV game that the Bulls had this year. Doris happened to be there, so we got to catch up, and we were talking about how we were going to get to do the Sixers again this week. So I'm pumped, man. As soon as I look at the schedule and I know, hey, it's me and DB, I know it's going to be a fun one.
Yeah, that's awesome. So what are the chances that you say something in the game like, and Ben Simmons drives the lane? Shout out to the Drive the Lane podcast, Andrew Zolman and Joey.
Maybe it'll be more of a Carol Burnett tugging my ear type of thing. I'll just really emphasize driving the lane. How about that?
Yeah, if you say it enough, then people will be like, "Ooh, I really like that phrase. Let's Google it."
Let's look it up on the podcast, on Apple Podcasts.
Hopefully you guys are the top hit at that point, man.
But yeah, so the Sixers are definitely a contender out there in the East. You got a NBA Finals preview in your mind, or not really yet?
I mean, listen, it is hard to look at anybody but Milwaukee and think that, they're not the favorite in the East. And I think Philly, when they're at full strength, they've got, I think Joel Embiid is one of the hardest matchups in the NBA, especially in the Eastern Conference. Boston, I don't think can hang with him. I don't think Toronto can necessarily hang with him, but I think it's different when it's Milwaukee, man. Giannis is the ultimate matchup nightmare. He has so many three-point weapons around him. Everybody just about on that roster can shoot it. And he's expanded the range. And he's scary. He's just a scary player. And I can't right now picture anybody, as long as Milwaukee's healthy, in a 7-game series beating them 4 times out of 7. I just can't see it right now. So I think Milwaukee's proven itself with the depth of roster in the East. Not to say that they won't have a tough series. I think Toronto can give them a tough series. I had Toronto earlier this year. They're playing well, even without Pascal Siakam and Norman Powell and Marc Gasol. All those guys are back now. When Philly's healthy, when Embiid comes back, they'll be in good shape. But I think Milwaukee's a clear cut. And on the other side, it's a little bit harder in the West to figure out, which I think has been the case a lot these last few years. Lakers are great. Can they stay healthy? Can they get enough production outside of Anthony Davis and LeBron, which I think is a question mark at times? And again, that's the same question for the Clippers. Like, if Paul George they're great when George and Kawhi play together. They're like 14-4, I think, when Kawhi and Paul George are on the floor together in a game this year. They're great, but their health issues are a concern to me. I don't know what to expect out of Houston. I think Russell Westbrook's a little bit volatile. We haven't seen him make a deep run of the playoffs yet, at least in the last few years. Certainly not without Durant on that roster. I'd still lean towards the Lakers and the Bucks. I think they're probably the favorites. Understandable. They've got the best records in their respective conferences, but they've gotten to this point. You're at the point where you can kind of evaluate that as we close in on the All-Star break. It's hard for me to pick anybody else as the favorites right now, especially leaning heavily on Milwaukee.
How fun is a second-round matchup in the West between the Lakers and the Clippers going to be at Staples Center?
I think it'd be fantastic, and I would hope at some point it gets precluded by a Lakers Mavericks series as well, just because I'm obsessed with Luka Doncic. I just think he's such a fun player to watch. But I think Clippers Lakers, I'll see them on the trip in LA when we're with the Bulls, so I'll get a chance to see them up close. As we get towards the end of the season, the level of venom in that building is just going to be awesome for us to witness. You saw what it was like on Christmas. Patrick Beverley's defense. That was proven last year that can get carried throughout an entire playoff run. I can't wait for a series like that, and I certainly hope we're treated to something like that.
I think that the Lakers should trade for Derrick Rose. What do you think about that?
I mean, he'd be a great piece. What are you going to give up? Obviously, is the question. Do you have enough assets to want to give up something major right now, whether it is a draft pick or anything else going forward? You're not guaranteed Anthony Davis going forward, so you don't know if you want to mortgage a lot of draft picks at this point yet. It's a little bit of a tough situation to be in. So I would love to see that. I think Derek would be a great fit as the first or second guard coming in off the bench. He can give you scoring, as he's proven in Detroit this year, and he's frankly proven the last couple of years going back to Minnesota. He's proven that he's back, at least in that role. Maybe he's not a lead guy, but he's certainly a great backup. And you need that in the playoffs when certain guys get locked down, when teams start to play a little bit more intensified defense. Your second unit is that much more important. Toronto has proven it. The last couple of years, Golden State proved it for a good chunk of time where they had really good pieces in their second unit. So I think it'd be a great fit. I just don't know what you're going to be able to give up and what kind of assets you're willing to mortgage at this point.
All right, one more trade question for you. All right, who wins this trade? You ready?
Damn it.
Lauri Markkanen. Okay.
Okay.
For cash.
That's it. Just says,
Pick your team. Pick your team. And they get Lauri Markkanen and the Bulls get cash.
That's
But
cash considerations or just cash?
Jim Boylan is included in the deal.
Oh my gosh.
The worst possible question you could ask an employee of the team, by the way.
I know.
Well, let me give you at least a little bit of love on Lauri Markkanen. I need to see him be more aggressive for sure. That is the big thing with Lauri. He needs to be more aggressive. You can't utilize him as strictly a stationary 3-point shooter, although he is a really good shooter, and I'm glad he's shooting more because we've seen it. He can get streaky again. I think he's a good shooter when you give him the volume to be one. He's the fastest in NBA history to 100 3-pointers. I like him as a shooter, but I think you can emphasize a little bit more of his skill set. It's a European player. He's got a good background. He's got a different skill set. I think if you can find a way to utilize that in a certain system, I think he'd be great. The problem is, does he work with the current iteration of the roster? I'm not sure. And if you can find a way to utilize him in different ways, I think he could be a really tough matchup. That's the thing. You can put him at the 5 against a smaller lineup, and that really is a difficult matchup to play against. You can put him at the 3 or the 4 against the first unit, and he might honestly just be more athletic or more strong than anybody he's matched up with. So I think there's potential there. We've certainly seen flashes of it. We've seen it a couple of times this year, whether it was against Charlotte or Detroit. Like, there's clearly potential for Markkanen to be more than what he is shown to be. We saw him be streaky a couple times last week and then kind of shut down in the second half. I don't want him to lose that aggressiveness. And I think if you can find a way to utilize him, I think you're going to be in really good shape with him. Otherwise, yeah, I mean, I don't think anything's off the table right now for the Bulls in terms of personnel. I don't think anything's off the table at this point, except for maybe LaVine and your early round or your early season, like, draft picks. Wendell Carter is only in his second year, things like that. I think those guys are probably pretty good where they're at. Kobe White, I think you got to stick with, and LaVine, you obviously got 2 more years on that contract. Other than that, I don't think anything's off the table.
I think that this podcast is split down the middle in terms of Lauri Markkanen. I'm a huge Lauri Markkanen fan. Zoldan, maybe not as much.
I'm just frustrated.
I just get texts from Zoldan at like 1 a.m. saying
that's my last name, by the way. If you're
I get texts from Andrew Zoldan at like 1:30 in the morning saying, "Oh my God, I can't believe Lauri went 1 for 6 from 3," and I'm like, okay.
I don't know what to tell you, man.
Exactly, but we both love Zach LaVine, and we both think he should be an All-Star. I'm assuming you agree. But I
already voted. I put in my my final vote today.
That's what I was going to ask you. Yeah. Who's your vote? Your starting lineups.
Yeah. I went LaVine and Kemba Walker. And I'm sure I'm a little bit biased because I've seen Boston a couple times this year. I think Kemba Walker's been such a good fit. I think he's had a phenomenal season, especially considering he's playing with Tatum and Brown, 2 budding stars. I just love how he's run that offense, and he's been so durable even after that scary neck injury. He only missed 1 game. I voted for LaVine and Walker in my backcourt, and then my front court was Giannis. Obviously, I threw Jason Tatum in there because I think he's had such an explosion offensively this season. I easily could have voted for Jaylen Brown too, and I think Jaylen, certainly will be in the mix for a reserve nod. And then I did put Joel Embiid in there. When you're third in the NBA in rebounding, you're leading Philadelphia in scoring. 23 and 12, excellent shot blocker, all that stuff. That was my starting five in the East, and then in the West. Backcourt was pretty easy. Harden and Doncic. Harden, the numbers he's putting up are insane. I think Doncic is the most versatile player in the NBA right now. And then front court wise, I feel silly that it was just I kind of purged it from my system a little while ago. Trying to remember who I put in front court wise for the West. Either way,
LeBron,
LeBron and Anthony Davis. I put both of them on there, and I honestly can't remember the 10th guy, but I mean, you kind of get the gist of what I was looking at all-star wise.
Yeah, totally. One quick thing, Markkanen had 8 points, 2 of 11 tonight, but
yeah,
match up with Giannis probably.
That's. I think there's going to be a lot of guys with that stat line going up against Milwaukee this year. So
one quick thing about the Bulls, and I got one quick thing about the NBA as a whole. I think the Bulls' biggest problem, and problem is kind of an interesting word, is they didn't get the pick where you can take Zion, Ja,
right.
Ben Simmons. Well, that was a year before, but they didn't resign.
I know what you're saying. Yeah, I get what you're saying.
It's frustrating, but it's not frustrated with the Bulls. It's frustrating to see Ja do what he's doing. It's frustrating to see Tatum do what he's doing. Lonzo, because those are guys that or I didn't mean Lonzo. I meant, even Lonzo. He had like 5
triple-double.
point games.
Yeah, sure. Or like a Brandon Ingram. Guys
It's just
get taken in those first 2 or 3 lottery spots. Yeah, I know what you mean.
Exactly. It's just frustrating to see those guys who during the college basketball season you envision in a Bulls uniform, and then it doesn't happen.
We get the 7th or 8th pick.
And then this year, I don't really see anyone in college basketball that I'm like, God, I really hope the Bulls get him because that's going to be the difference maker. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, it's tough, and when the draft classes don't seem deep, and you're right, they really haven't been that particularly deep the last couple of years. Like we kind of knew who the studs were coming out of this draft. We knew it was Morant, and obviously we knew Zion was going to be the number 1 pick. But it's hard. You're right. I mean, I don't know. I hadn't seen enough of James Wiseman at the college level to know what type of pick he was going to be. Obviously, he's going to be a lottery pick. Anthony Edwards, I have been impressed by. The kid from Georgia, I think he's a great scorer. Obi Toppin, who's playing at Dayton, might be the best college basketball player in the country, although certainly take into consideration in conference play some of the competition he's going up against. But outside of that, who are you really excited about? Is it Cole Anthony? He's banged up right now. That's not a great sign for a kid in his freshman year at college. Are you going to go outside of the United States to find somebody? Are we looking at the Mannion kid from Arizona right now? There's not a lot of depth to this draft class, so it's tough. This year is tough in particular. I thought Kobe White was a great pick considering where you got him.
Yeah.
Honestly, if I go back and look at the draft, I'm like, who else were you really going to get? And some guys might have, good solid rookie seasons, but I love Kobe White. I think there's a lot of potential there. I think he could be a really solid point guard if he learns the position. I think he has ability to shoot the ball a little bit better than he has been. He's shooting the ball right around the same clip that we kind of we saw last year. But who else were you going to go get? I like the Kobe White pick. I'm not sure I'm going to be excited, just as a fan about anybody that the Bulls take, because I don't really know what type of commodities we have coming out of the draft this year because there just hasn't been a lot of exposure to him. I like Toppin. I like Anthony Edwards. I enjoy watching Cole Anthony when he's healthy, but who are you really going to go after?
Yeah, I definitely think if there was a year to trade the pick, even really if it was the number 1 pick, it's this year.
Yeah.
So I think the NBA product as a whole has not been as exciting for me personally this year, and I think that has to do with and then this will be one of the last questions. I think that has to do a lot with Steph being out, Clay being out, Durant being out, Kyrie not really playing. Very good point. Yeah.
This is what plagued the year kind of going into it. Clay has been hurt. Golden State being bad so suddenly because of the injuries and obviously Durant leaving. It's jarring. It is jarring to see how far they've fallen just because of injuries this season. Like, I was excited when D'Angelo Russell was going over to Golden State. I thought that was a great pickup, especially considering you had money to spend and you lost Durant. Well, you know, it's not going to be the same scoring threat, but you're going to have a really solid lineup throughout. You know, and then the injury issues kind of take hold and it messes with the entire vibe of the roster. Like, Kyrie being hurt most of the year, and then kind of the drama that goes with him as well. And he's clearly he clearly doesn't love it in Brooklyn right now. The fit just doesn't seem to be there. And maybe we're learning a little bit more about Kyrie than anything else. You know, I you know, Zion hasn't played. He's supposed to make his debut after our game on Wednesday night. So, like, you're right. Like, these are the things that kind of have. I mean, the ratings are obvious. Like, it's hurt the ratings this year. Boston's a great team to watch on TV. Milwaukee's a great team to watch on TV. That's why the ratings were good on Thursday night for that game, because you have a star in Giannis and the best team in the league, and you've got a Boston team that has star power that's recognizable throughout the lineup. Kemba Walker, Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, young stars. Like, they're easily recognizable. So that's why the ratings are good, and it helps that they're both playing well. So you're right about that, man. Joel Embiid being hurt right now doesn't help.
Yeah.
It does not help the league.
Yeah, totally agree. You know, we're gonna let you go. Really appreciate you coming on. But last thing, have you watched any Ohio State basketball this year, and what are your thoughts?
I haven't watched a ton of it this year, but I'm getting geared up. Now that we're getting into the meat of Big Ten season, now we get a real chance. I saw a little bit of the game against Kentucky this year. I don't think that was you can't really use that necessarily as a great gauge. Did not look very good the other night against Penn State. There's some serious concern, and obviously now you got suspensions to deal with. The personnel shifting, that's not going to help right now for this roster. So I haven't seen a ton of them. I'm obviously going to watch a little bit more as we get into the heart of conference season.
Yep, sounds good. All right, appreciate you coming on, man. Chiefs or 49ers?
Well, based on Andy Reid's quote about what he did after winning the AFC Championship and saying that he ate a cheeseburger and went to bed, Chiefs by $1 million.
I think that's fair.
All right, thanks, man. Next time we'll get your cat and dog theory.
Yeah, you got it, boys.
All right,
thanks, man.
See ya.
How you been? You been good?
Oh yeah, everything's good. You know, been resting my body, but I can't really rest because I'm like the type of person that just can't sit around. So I'm supposed to be resting, but I still be lifting and whatnot.
Are you XFLing, or are you trying to make a comeback next year?
Oh no, the Broncos signed me to a futures deal, so I'm still with them.
All right, there we go. Is that breaking news?
I mean, it ain't breaking news. If people didn't know that, then I guess it would be breaking news. But I mean, I did that before I left Denver after the last game.
Oh, well, that's good. Drew Lock is a stud, isn't he? He's a bucking Bronco.
Yeah, he's something. I tell you what, his last few games, he was doing very well. His future is bright.
All right, well, we've been recording, so we'll just keep it rolling anyway. So, Tyvis, what do you think about the Super Bowl? What are your thoughts?
I think it's going to be a good Super Bowl. I think this Super Bowl will probably be like one of the best Super Bowls we've seen in a while. Like, I'm not going to say it's going to be as good as Brady's comeback against Atlanta, but it's going to be like the
Brady's
Eagles
comeback against Atlanta.
No, because that was just too iconic. I don't think it's going to be that iconic, but I think it's going to be a very good competitive game. Like, I don't see either team blowing the other team out.
You still got some buddies on the 49ers, don't you?
Yeah, I do, actually.
Who are you still close with?
I mean, I said really all of them. But I mean, obviously, Sherm is still my guy. I still talk to him all the time.
Should we give him a call?
He probably answer too, but I ain't about to call it. He's busy. But I can't see. But it's hard for me to just root for that because I still got like buddies that's on the Chiefs. Like Frank Clark grew up in Cleveland, and I know Frank. Darren Lee plays for the Chiefs, and that's my guy. Like I still talk to him almost like on a every week to week basis. So it's like I gotta be Switzerland. I gotta be. I gotta be Switzerland this game. I can't vote. I can't root for no team.
Yeah, you can get one of those jerseys that's half Chiefs, half 49ers. You're just cheering for everyone.
What are they not gonna respect me? You know, they gonna call the 49ers gonna call me a traitor. You know, they did pay me for 2 seasons, so you know.
You could just do what Rob Lowe just did and just wear the hat that says NFL.
That's true. I could pull that. Yeah. No, I'm just not making. I ain't saying nothing. I'm rooting for a good game. How about that?
All right.
Did you see what Darrelle Revis tweeted at Richard Sherman, which was just so ridiculous?
Yeah, you know, that's been the knock on Sherm his whole career. Me and him had a very. It's funny you say that because we had a conversation about that like back in like October. And I was explaining to him, I was like, saying the reason that people don't respect you that much is because all these other corners travel. Like, they travel with number 1 receivers. And he brought up a very interesting point. His point was, well, Tyvis, what's the point of a corner traveling with a receiver if the receiver is still scoring touchdowns and getting over 100 yards a game? Is it really effective? I said, well, you make a good point right there. There would be no point in traveling there. You might as well stay on yourself. So then another point he was bringing up was he was like, Tyvis, name me some left tackles that you respect. He's like, would you say that Joe Thomas was a good left tackle? I said, heck yeah, he's one of the best. He said, okay, what about like a Marcus Peters? What would you say, Marcus Peters? I was like, yeah, I respect him too. I respect, dude for the Eagles. I mean, Jason Peters.
I was going to say Marcus Peters. Yeah, what are you talking about?
Yeah, Jason Peters. He's like, you respect Jason Peters? I said, yeah, for sure. He was like, okay. Why don't they ask them to go? Would you say Von Miller is like one of the best pass rushers? I said, absolutely. So why they don't ask them to switch sides? Line up on the other side.
Yeah.
I said, yeah, you got a point there too.
That's very true.
That is a really good point.
Richard Sherman's
he brings some very interesting points, so it's hard to argue with the man.
Yeah.
But like I always try to find loopholes. Like me and his arguments is always you gotta come with some good facts if you're gonna argue with him. So
yeah, he's a smart guy. I don't know if you know this, but he actually went to Stanford. Did you know that?
Yeah, whatever.
I don't know if he's ever mentioned it.
Listen, I'm not gonna let him he's not gonna outsmart me, okay? I don't care if I'm wrong. I'm gonna argue it until it's right.
Exactly.
Makes sense.
So, this college football season definitely did not have the end that any of the three of us wanted. Me and you kind of texted throughout the season. What do you think went wrong in that game?
I think we lost because of bad refereeing.
Oh, don't give me that. Don't give us that.
The refs. We was robbed. No, I think really what happened was it was the fact that we didn't score in the red zone as many times as we needed to. We got down there a lot and we ended up settling for field goals. So I knew that those would come back to haunt us. Anytime you get in the red zone that many times and you kick that many field goals, it's always gonna come back to haunt you. But like I say, they were up. What we up 6? It was up 16-0. I want to say, and the fact that. A couple of calls. I think it all started with the Deshaun Wade targeting call. That kind of gave them some momentum. And then I never knew Trevor Lawrence was even that fast.
Mm-hmm.
But once he started scrambling, I was like, man, like this is like they really like opened up. Because I think before that, I read a stat that said, I think Halfley said that he only had like 15 design runs on the season. So they didn't look at him like a runner like that either. So I think that kind of surprised a lot of people. And, like I say, when that fumble happened that they called back, I mean, that was kind of like the icing on the cake. But I think the main thing I would say is the fact that we didn't score in the red zone.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Trevor Lawrence kind of looks like a stallion with that long flowing hair when he's running down the sideline. What do you think? He's a good-looking guy, yes or no?
No.
He kind of looks like handsome Squidward.
They say he looked like the dude. He looked like Ronnie Bass.
Who we got laughing?
Who's laughing at my jokes back there?
Oh, that's my girlfriend. They look like.
Sorry, I'll stop making her laugh then. My bad.
They say he look like Ronnie Bass, man. Look like Sunshine. But they say he's like the best quarterback that's gonna come out since Johnny Elway. I said, man, that's something to beat right there, ain't it? I can't, that's my boss now, so I gotta agree.
Yeah, he is your boss, but he's a pretty good boss. He found Drew Lock. Drew Lock, great guy, great quarterback. Went to a great school.
Great rapper.
Some would say he went to a better school than Ohio State. I don't know who would say that, but some would.
Here you go, man. Here you go. That's y'all pride and joy, huh?
What do you say,
that's
me?
All, yeah, that's all.
What do you say, me, you, Joey, Drew Lock, Richard Sherman, head up to Columbia, Missouri, grab a couple beers? What do you say?
If they're all down for it, we can make it happen.
Well, unfortunately, I am not down for it. So,
Tyvis, anything funny happened to you lately?
Lately, let's see. I don't think nothing. Have anything happened funny to me lately? I think everything's funny. I don't think nothing like. No, I've been chilling. I ain't like I said, I've been chilling. I ain't really been. I've been trying to fall back. I've been trying to get my mind right. My girlfriend's having a baby in July. We're having a baby in July.
Congratulations!
Oh wow, that's awesome. Congrats.
That.
Is that breaking news?
Right. Well, we announced it on Christmas Eve.
Okay, so no, sorry. That's my fault.
What is William in this breaking news, man?
We want to break news. We're addicted to
breaking news.
I see that.
You know what? That Joey didn't know, but I actually saw you.
Oh,
okay. Post that, so congratulations.
Oh
yeah.
I appreciate that.
Something funny that we actually did.
Wait, Andrew goes around and says he is your number one. You're his number one best friend. Like that's when he introduces himself as Andrew Zolden, Tyvis Powell's best friend. Just so you know.
That's factual.
Yeah. Thank you.
We go way back.
Yeah,
way
thank you.
Back.
Sometimes I'll just text Tyvis, be like, "Hey man, Happy New Year." And he's like, "You know what? Thanks." So we made our list of top 5 Buckeyes of the decade, and I put you, because of course we're best friends, I put you on my list. Awesome. And someone responded and said, "Hey, man, I don't know what the deal with this is, but Tyvis Powell does not deserve to be on this list." And you responded to the guy and said, "Hey, man, everybody's entitled to their own opinion. Thanks for responding."
Yeah, I mean, I mean, if I made a list, he wouldn't be on my list. So it's kind of like, I don't see where he was going with that. Like, I don't. Like, you can make your own list. They're not asking, like, they said make your own list. Like, don't comment on what somebody else has to say. Like, if that's not what you agree with, then that's fine. I mean, that is what it is. But you don't have to criticize nobody,
Yeah, we just really appreciate you being our Twitter security guard, because I got more mean tweets and mean messages from that than ever before. And mine was just I was just joking. I mean,
I'm trying to keep it like rated G, because I don't really take, people try to take me there, like at Ohio, even at Ohio State. I have received a lot of tweets that was very hurtful, and I try not to respond to it, because if I go there, it's like gonna be all bad. So I don't even want to go there. I try to respond in a very positive way, because I'm a very positive person. So I just want people to stay positive, and I try to respond positively, because if I go there, just it's over with. It's over with. So I'm not even gonna go there with people.
That's some good advice, and I got some more good advice for you, Tyvis. You ready?
Yeah, let's hear it.
So if you get a big signing bonus from the Broncos, here are some things that you should spend it on. Okay.
First and foremost, a jet ski.
No, I was
going to say. Doing that. No, I was going to say. Never do it. That again.
You should buy a lot of our Drive the Lane shirts.
I can do that.
And you should do 0 jet ski trips. That was going to be my recommendation.
I'm never messing with a jet ski ever again. Like those, you know how much money that costs me? How much money that costs me?
Oh man, you're probably still in debt from that jet ski.
No, like I said, man, Sherm hooked me out. He looked out for me on that one. So I got out of debt fast, but I would have been, which is sad that my whole signing bonus was really going to something like that. I never even done before. Like I never even. Why you bring that up? That's a dark time of my life.
That's nice of Richard Sherman to do that. You know, he's a smart guy. He went to Stanford.
What a guy. You know, what a guy.
Stand-up guy. Stand-up guy.
Oh yeah, he definitely is a stand-up guy. He doesn't bite. He bites his tongue for no one.
Yeah,
that is clear, which is awesome. Makes for great press conferences. I think just when he, I think it was the week before, or one of the days leading up to before the Packers game, someone asked him some dumb media question, and he responded like he does with giving somewhat of a mean answer, and it made me remember the greatest interview of all time with Erin Andrews when he just yelled at her about Michael Crabtree.
You put a sorry ass receiver like Crabtree on me. That's what you're gonna get.
Who are you talking about? Crabtree. It's just all time.
Yeah, man, he definitely might have the best post game interview of all time. He's gonna go down in history for that for sure.
Yeah.
But I can't blame the guy. He was really caught up in the moment, and I think when Crabtree pushed him in his face at the end, I think he just went on 10 after that.
Can you think of any sorry ass receivers that you've had to guard?
It's a few of them, but I won't mention no names on here. I went against Sherman practice a lot. I strapped him a couple of times. You know, Sherman was actually a receiver before turning corner.
Yeah. You know he went to Stanford?
Oh my God.
All right, I got one more question for you.
Stanford can't beat the Buckeyes, so I ain't really worried about it.
That's a good point.
One more question for you. Ready? Which would you rather have to do? Okay.
Oh man, neither.
Get run over by Derrick Henry. Okay.
No, have to tackle Derrick Henry.
Have to tackle Derrick Henry.
You're not going to get run over. You'll tackle him.
Or take a helmet swing to the head from Myles Garrett.
Ooh.
I'd rather tackle Myles Garrett. I mean, because if the helmets were the, you know what, the funny thing about that man really was trying to press charges. He really took it there, and I'm kind of shocked that like he really thought like that was like the best thing to do. And you know, speaking of that, I'm glad you brought that up. So I was arguing with a buddy of mine who was saying, because I think it was either the game before ours or it might have been our last game. We was playing the Raiders, and I want to say it might have been the week before. It was a fight. I think it was a dude from the Raiders that got into a fight, and he like punched the dude. Was it the Lions? It might have been the Lions and Raiders. I can't remember, but the dude like beat the dude. It was actually the Colts because he punched Jack Doyle. I remember.
All right, which team was it?
It was the Lions. It was the dude. I don't remember who the Lions. Not the Lions. It was the Colts, but I don't remember who they was playing. It was the Colts. They was playing the Colts for sure. The dude punched Jack Doyle like tried to really beat him up, and I think he only got suspended for like a game. So me and my friend was talking about it. And he tried to say that the Myles Garrett thing is unfair because Albert Haynesworth stumped on a man's head when he was with the Titans. You got to look on YouTube.
I've seen that video.
Yeah, he said he stumped the man, and I think he got like 3 or 4 games suspension. And I'm trying to say like, how do you? Okay, he stumped on his head. He didn't really stump on it that hard. He like literally kind of like stepped on it a little bit, but he didn't do it as hard as he could have. Like, how do you say that Myles Garrett only deserves 4 games and he took a whole helmet and swung it at a man's head and hit him? And you telling me you don't think he deserved at least 10? Like maybe 10? Like I wouldn't suspend him for a whole year. I would definitely give him like 10, maybe 10, like that, you know. But how many did he serve this year anyway?
It was like an indefinite suspension or whatever.
So
whatever that means.
I think he's out until you get signed. That's what the commissioner said.
So he's back.
Well, he should be playing right now.
Yeah, he's back. Tyvis, you know that was the game that I actually had a ticket for you for, but you were already in Denver.
Yeah, it's true because I think I just left to go to Denver.
Yeah,
Too.
we would have had a fun time at that game.
You was at the game. You was at the game.
I was at the game, and I had a ticket for you, but you were busy with Drew Lock instead of me. But
you had to be happy for me at least.
I was very happy for you, but
as your best friend, I was thrilled.
I was very upset thinking about what we would have been doing after we watched Myles Garrett hit someone in the head with a helmet.
I kind of feel bad because I feel like I missed out on something. I feel like how many times in our life are we going to witness a guy take somebody's helmet off his head and hit him in his own head with his own helmet?
Wait, I got to ask you, my opinion is this is one of the dumbest things in sports when football players get into fist fights with helmets on and are punching each other in the helmet.
Well, you got to think now. Hold on. This is what you got to realize.
Yeah, I need this.
People that play football, they're not dumb. They're not. And I'm gonna tell you why. So I'm gonna give you a story. So when I was with San Francisco, what was that? Yeah, it was last year. Yeah, last year I was with San Francisco, and we scrimmaged the Texans. We had our second, I want to say it was our second preseason game against the Texans, and we had to go do joint practice with them, right?
Uh-huh.
So before we go out on the field, they explain the rules. They like, look, we're gonna have a great practice. If anybody throws any punches, you're done. Like, you're done for the day. You're getting kicked out. You're getting sent home, and you're done with practice. Okay. So both teams agreed on it. All right, yeah, whatever. We get to one-on-ones. Okay. I think Sherm is not practicing at the time because he was just coming off of his injury, and they wanted to ease him back in. So at the time, Jimmy Ward was at corner. So we go, Spoon takes a rep with somebody, and then Jimmy.
Mizzou. Another Mizzou guy.
Who?
We don't care.
Spoon.
Spoon ain't from Akello ain't from no Missouri.
Wait,
Colorado.
which Spoon?
Akello Witherspoon.
Oh, I thought you were talking Sean Witherspoon. He's Mizzou.
Oh yeah, no.
All right, keep going. Sorry to interrupt.
The only Mizzou people we respect is you and Locke. That's it. That's it. And my boy Marcus Lucas, but that's another story. Anyways, so we get to one-on-ones, and D-Hop goes up against Jimmy. And Jimmy, they got kind of physical at the line. Make a long story short, the pass was incomplete, and Jimmy and D-Hop starts fighting, like swinging punches, and D-Hop's helmet is off, but Jimmy's helmet is on. So why D-Hop threw these punches, I don't know, but Jimmy was actually connecting his punches.
Oh.
So if you look on the tape, because
this was on Hard Knocks, wasn't it?
Yeah, no, because we wasn't on.
No, but the Texans were.
No, the Texans wasn't on Hard Knocks that year. That was the year the Browns was on Hard Knocks, I think.
Okay. Joey's thinking of another D-Hop fight, but keep going.
Sorry. Yeah, he thinking of the D-Hop fight with D'Angelo Hall.
Yeah.
But anyways, they get to fight. If you got to go back and find this clip, you can see Sherm like behind the fight. Sherm's helmet is off, but all these people starting to fight. So Sherm throws the helmet on first and then runs in. So that right there lets me know that he definitely went to Stanford.
Yeah, he's a smart dude.
Yeah, he's stupid enough to run in there with no helmet.
Oh, that is so funny.
All right, Tyvis, you got any questions for us before we let you go? We know you're with your family.
Now, how's everything going? How's the podcast going?
Better now that you're on it.
The podcast is going well. People are not so excited to listen to us when Ohio State football is not going on.
And Ohio State basketball is losing.
Yeah. But the Big Ten is a very tough conference this year because there is teams that's at the top that's losing all type of teams in the Big Ten. I think the Big Ten is just canceling each other out right now. It's not good.
You sound like a Stanford grad.
You sound like you're our new college basketball insider.
Listen to me, man. I ain't gonna tell you I graduated from Ohio State with a 3.0, but I sure graduated with a 2.9998. I tell you that.
But we round up.
I paid attention in class. I did my work.
But as your son once said, you didn't go to school for school, you went for football.
Yeah, look at him now. My boy's about to be the starting quarterback and one of the biggest things in the XFL this year. Needless to say, I'll be watching a lot of DC Defender games.
So will we. You should tell him to answer my text.
Andrew has sent him 99 text messages without him responding.
I probably went over the top.
At him. I've never been more mad at him because he's not only embarrassing himself, he's embarrassing me, he's embarrassing our podcast, and he's embarrassing our families.
And I'm embarrassing you, Tyvis, because the first thing I said was Tyvis gave me your number.
Wait a minute. Did he ever respond?
The opposite of yes.
Oh my God! He's too big time. You know what? I told you he became the XFL star, and now he's big time. He's trying to big time.
We've given him a lot of time because it's been over. It's over the course of months. It seems like so. That's all right. That's all right.
You know what? I'm gonna have to have a conversation with him next time he calls me, which he randomly does throughout the week, which I don't know why. He randomly FaceTimes me. I'm gonna bring it up. I'm gonna say, what's going on, man? You too big time to do like a 10, 15 minute talk on the podcast?
Yeah, but now
he's gonna say maybe if that kid didn't text me 15 times, I would do
15 would have been fine. It was 30.
Tyvis, the number is actually 6. No, it was actually 6.
Okay.
And so you just got 6 text messages out there and no response.
Well, it looks like 0 because I deleted the conversation.
Oh man,
I was scared.
All I'll say is the problem now is that if he ever comes on, he's already annoyed by us. So, or he's annoyed by Andrew. I'm a fellow collegiate athlete. So
Joey has to ask all the questions.
Yeah, I'll be like,
I have to sit in the
welcome
corner.
to the Drive Lane podcast. My co-host is not here.
I said 99.
Oh man,
I'm holding out on that 100th text because I know he'll answer.
The 100th one is that's the one that works.
Yeah, you gotta wait till I give you the thumbs up. Then you can send that 100.
Oh shit!
All right, Tyvis, thank you so much. You gave us about 30 extra minutes than we wanted, so we really appreciate it.
I appreciate y'all, man.
All right, I'll call you tonight before bed.
Good night.
See you, buddy.
All right, see ya.
We don't know which one was first or second because Andrew hasn't.
Have not decided. I hope you enjoyed both interviews, though.
Yeah, I think it was Adam Amin and then Tyvis. Zolden might think it's the opposite. And he has the controls.
Did you buy our shirts yet? No. You probably did.
Yeah. Idiots.
Buy our shirts.
Wait, should we talk about the guys that were sitting behind me at the game? Sorry, this is idiots. Some 2 random people, I've never met them before. It is so fun being a fan because other fans don't know who they're surrounded by. They didn't know that they were sitting in front of me who, knows all these guys on the team and the coaches in Ohio State, and I know everything there is to know about Ohio State, obviously. And these guys sitting behind me are like, oh, they got some kid from Upper Arlington on the team. I bet you he gets shit all the time. Danny Hummer, man, I wonder if he'll step on the court. Meanwhile, Danny Hummer's parents are sitting next to me. And, it's just like, God, have some sense. You're sitting 3 rows behind Ohio State's bench. Of course you're going to have some family there. But that wasn't the funniest thing that they said. They said, you see those patches on the back of Ohio State's jerseys, which Ohio State has all the Nike teams that have won a championship have a patch on the back that is gold or silver. They also are typically Nike elite schools. And this guy and I, if you guys don't know, I worked for Nike this summer, so I got to learn some of the Nike ins and outs and stuff. And they were like, yeah, Bob, he's saying to his friend, only the Nike elite schools get the gold on the back of their jersey. Like every other Nike school just has a plain one or whatever. And I'm sitting there like, first of all, Ohio State signed the biggest Nike deal of any school in the history of college sports. They are a Nike elite school. Second of all, why would we have a gold patch when our colors aren't gold? Our colors are silver. Silver makes so much sense. Mm-hmm. It just makes more sense. Kentucky, okay, Silver might make sense, but gold, that's like very Kentucky-y to do. Like, it was just so unbelievably infuriating. And they're saying stuff like, put in Dwayne Washington, when it was like 2 minutes into the game. And I'm like, the dude likes coming off the bench. Like, will you just relax for a second? Like,
I agree, though. Put in Dwayne Washington. I love him.
So do I also agree, but they're saying stuff like, oh, my God, like, what are we running? Like, God, I'm like, oh, my God, you want to go out there and coach? That, like, also, while we're on the topic of idiots, because no one's listening to this, people tweet at me some dumb stuff during these games, and nothing was dumber than some guy tweeting at me, and I'm not going to mention his name because he probably would like that. I tweeted something about how poorly Caleb Wesson gets officiated, because he really does. The dude is huge, and people hang on him to try and stop him, and they can't call every single foul. So I tweeted that. I said, Caleb Wesson is so poorly officiated, it hurts my soul. Some guy responded and was like, hold on, I want to read the exact tweet. It was just like, stay with me.
Come on.
Stay with me.
Get there.
Hurts my soul, he's so soft down low. And I said, I'd like to see you try and stop him. And that's what I couldn't do that when I was a player, but now I can do that. It's fun.
I don't think he's soft down low. I think this far into the season, he's still kind of getting used to his new body a little bit, too.
Stop.
I'm serious.
No, the truth is that when you're number one on the scouting report, like, and other guys maybe aren't producing as well as they have. Today was better, but in the past, you know, like, Caleb gets a touch every time down the court. Like, you know, like, it's hard. He's the number one guy. Everyone, when they pull up the film 2 days before the game starts, they go, all right. And you see big number 34, that's our key to beating them. We got to stop that guy to win the game. So, So, yeah, I'm just happy Ohio State won. And I'm happy you guys are all buying our shirts as we speak.
Very happy. High Street Tees/DTL. What's the promo code, Joe?
DTL15 for 15% off. If you guys can guess what I'm getting from Portillo's, we'll send you.
Who won the competition?
What competition?
The free shirt.
Oh, should we do that right now? We'll just tweet about it.
We'll tweet about it, yeah. Congratulations to...
Thanks for watching. Subscribe below to get the latest videos from Lettermen Row.
We got Letterman Live, we've got the practice report, we got rapid reaction. Hey, and you know we got Buck IQ with Zach Bourne.
For sure. We got recruiting breakdowns with Berm. We got whatever you need. Ohio State football and Ohio State athletics, we've got you covered here at Lettermen Row.